Hey guys, welcome to The Simple Garden. My name's Andrew, and today we're going to be doing our first ever garden tour. I know, I've been pushing it off for a while now, and a lot of you guys have really wanted to see it, but as they say, it's better late than never. We're just about halfway through the middle of winter, but there's still so much exciting gardening happening here, and I really wanted to take the time to show you guys everything that's going on. I know a lot of places are freezing cold right now, so it's a little bit weird to see a garden tour in the middle of winter, but we're having some really crazy weather out here in LA this year. And so right now I'm standing underneath the sun and it's 75 degrees today. With that said, there's still not a lot going on in the garden at the moment. And I think a few nights ago it hit like 35 degrees at night. So the weather's been really unpredictable and it's really hard to start flowers and seeds when the weather's like this. But if you've been tuning into my shorts, you've probably seen some of the vibrant highlights in the garden, my citrus trees. So let's go. In Southern California, and specifically LA, orange trees are one of the most essential and probably basic trees that you can find in someone's garden. And so with that said, this is my Caracara navel orange tree. And I've had this tree for, I'd say about 10 years now. You can see that it's almost 10 feet tall and it's producing a ton of oranges. And as someone who's obsessed with oranges, let me show you why this tree is so special to me. Check out the color of the fruit. You can see that it's not your normal orange tree because look at the color of the flesh. And what makes it even better is it's absolutely delicious. As we dive a bit deeper into the garden, this is my pomelo tree, and you can see a few of the fruits hiding behind the leaves. Let me pick one for you. So these pomelos are kind of like grapefruits, but they're teardrop shaped. And to me, I think they're much sweeter than an actual grapefruit. By now you've seen my pomelo tree and you've seen my orange tree. But did you know that when you crossbreed the two fruits, you actually get a grapefruit? No joke, this grapefruit tree produces fruits that are just as big as the ones you find in the store. And I think the variety is called Oro Blanco because the flesh inside is all white. Now let's shrink things down a little bit, and this is my kumquat tree. It's kind of like a tiny little orange, and you can see how small it is. And what's cool about this fruit is even though it smells like an orange and tastes like an orange, the skin is actually edible and very sweet. Next, we have my lemon tree. It's super reliable and looking a little bit sparse because I've been juicing them every single night. The branches on this lemon tree have a ton of thorns, so every time I harvest the lemons, it's like going into battle. This is a fruit tree that you might have never seen before. It's known as a Buddha's hand, and it grows these enormous looking fruit that kind of resemble lemons, but also have finger-like claws. And what makes it so special is it's not actually a citrus, but a citron, which means it doesn't have all the pulp and the juices that a normal citrus has. Moving on from citrus trees, guava trees are a huge part of my garden. So much so that they dominate their own category. Behind me, I've got 2 varieties of guava out of 5 that I'm going to share with you guys. This is my Thai white guava tree, and I have 3 of these trees in my garden because one's not enough. You can see that even though it's not guava season anymore, it still has a few leftover guavas that didn't fully ripen. So we're just going to take it off and let it use its energy for next season. Right next to my Thai white guava, I've got a Caribbean guava tree. And what makes it different is that the outside starts to turn yellow and the inside is red. And I've got 2 of these trees in my garden. I absolutely love the smell and the flavor when it's guava season, and this might actually be my favorite variety. I know what the tree looks like, and it's not what you're thinking. This is my loquat tree, and you're catching it at a perfect time. You can see that the loquats are already starting to form, and they're just in their tiny little green fuzzy phase. In about 3 to 4 months, they're gonna be perfectly yellow and orange and deliciously ripe. I think there's gonna be over 200 loquats on this tree, so if you want some, let me know in the comments, because I can't finish it all myself. This is my Japanese apricot tree that lost all of its flowers in the big storm, and here's what it looked like just a week ago. So you've seen my Japanese apricot and my loquat tree in peak season, but this is my persimmon tree. And during the winters, it loses all of its leaves, so it's kind of naked right now. Above me is one of the most tropical trees that I grow in my garden, my cherry moya tree. Every year, this tree produces deliciously smelling flowers that require hand pollination to turn into fruit. And here's the last cherimoya of the season that isn't quite ripe yet. And lastly, here are 5 bare root trees that I picked up this year and last year. In this collection, we've got a gala apple, we've got a crab apple tree, we've got a plum cot, a Alberta peach, and a Shinseki Asian pear. So we've got a lot of varieties here. I've never grown bare root trees like this before, so it's definitely a learning experience. And I think this year we're gonna make a ton of mistakes, we're gonna learn a lot, and hopefully at the end of the year, we have a bunch of fruit that we can try out and see if it's actually tasty. It's really exciting to see some of the leaves on these branches start to form, especially because it didn't come with very many leaves. And we're probably gonna be doing a lot of air layering and propagating these branches to see if we can get more trees out of them. Now that you've seen all of the fruit trees, I wanted to share with you this incredible magnolia tree in my garden. It's currently in full bloom and we're just at the apex of the season before all of the green leaves push the flower petals off of the branches. The flowers are incredibly fragrant and I can smell them as soon as I open my door. It's definitely one of the highlights of my garden, but now let's go to my container plants. We're back to where we first started this video and behind me is my container plant section. We've got house plants underneath the awning. We've got succulents in potted containers. We've got a lot going on here. Fun fact, I actually don't keep any house plants inside the house. In fact, all of my house plants are right outside this window underneath the awning because that's where they thrive the best. Before we move on, I wanted to share that this is one of my most prized plants in my garden. This is a variegated monstera and it was something that I was looking for many, many years. You can see that what makes it unique from a monstera is the different colors that are splattered all over the leaves. And I want to share a special announcement that it's having another leaf baby. And now we're on to the succulent section. Succulents are very special to me because that was the very first plant that got me into this entire gardening journey. I propagated my very first succulent in 2016 and since then, it's gotten a little out of control. Every single succulent here is actually a propagation, and I don't think I've bought any of these succulents in the last 3 or 4 years. And if you thought that was a lot, wait till you see my Haworthia succulent collection, because here we've got trays on trays on trays of Haworthia. And I'm even leveling up my succulent collection with some adenium, some variegated moonstones, and even this giant walnut that started to form its own canopy. What can I say? Succulents are so much fun and they're the perfect starter plant to get into gardening. And right next to my succulents, I've got all of my dragon fruit ready for the next season. What's crazy is this entire dragon fruit journey started with one little dragon fruit like this and has grown to over 50 different dragon fruit plants. And to round out this section of my garden, here are all the trees that I haven't been able to find a place for in the ground. This includes a ton of Japanese maple trees, wisteria, cedar trees, and anything in between. I haven't found the perfect place to plant them in the ground yet, so they're kind of just hanging out in pots at the moment. But each tree has its own unique features, like this enormous wisteria bonsai here, and I can't wait to show you guys one by one. Here are a few more plants that I'm really excited to dive into this season, including 2 of my raspberry plants, a kiwi plant, and even this air layer of a lychee tree that I propagated earlier last season. I've also got a small herb garden sitting next to 2 blueberry bushes, right in front of these 2 jambu trees that aren't looking too good because of the cold. And if you've heard of the Djibouti kaba tree, I've got one of those too. And before we end this garden tour, I want to share with you one last part of my garden that I'm really excited for this year. This is a strawberry patch that I started this year. And if you zoom out a little bit, you'll see that it's a very, very long patch. I grew my own strawberries for the very first time last year, and life-changing might actually be an understatement. Compared to the ones from the grocery store, the ones I grew at home were sweeter, juicier, and more flavorful. And that's why I've decided to dedicate this entire lane to only strawberry plants. And to be honest, I think we're really close to getting our very first strawberries. Because even though it's only February, these strawberries are starting to look really good. And that's it for the winter garden tour. Here in the Simple Garden, there's always so much to do every single day, whether it's harvesting fruit, planting seeds, or even just walking around and enjoying the sunshine and looking at my trees. And as always, thank you guys for all the kind and supportive comments. You guys are my biggest inspiration, and I've really come to enjoy documenting this garden journey and sharing every part of it with you guys. And if there's any part of my garden or plant out there that you want to know more about, let me know in the comments. But as always, keep it simple in the garden and keep on growing.